Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Now today I'm going to be talking about basically all the other EMEA challenges that aren't Northern Europe, since that was in a separate video, I'm pretty sure with the Brazil region. Then this is going to be a pretty long video. I have 8 regions to cover, so I'll see how I want to do it when I'm going with the video. So let's get started. We'll first start off with Spain. Now Spain, I'm pretty sure most of them were online/offline. Obviously, the venue was at Barcelona at the Autodoro Metapro. I don't know where that is, but I'm pretty sure it was online during the group stage and then offline, pretty sure during the playoffs. Here are the participants. Obviously, we have KC Esports, Team Kesso, UCAM Esports Club, Falcons, KPI Gaming, Rebels Gaming, Zeta Gaming, Movistar Riders, Rambo Club, and AYM Esports. Here are the players as well. You might know them, you might not know them. It doesn't really matter. Regular season, KC Esports, and UCAM Esports Club, both of them were in the top 2C, but both of them also going 13-5, along with Rambo Club, who got third. Then Team Kesso in 4th, KPI Gaming in 5th, and Zeta in 6th. Then we got Movistar Riders in 7th, Falcons in 8th, Rebels Gaming in 9th, and AYM Esports in 10th place. I'm just going to use this now as basic because it's just a bit easier. The only times that I'm pretty sure AYM won, if I can try and use this, I'm pretty sure the first one was against KPI Gaming, I think. And then the other one, I'm not really too sure. I'm trying to have a look right now, but the first one was definitely against KPI Gaming, and I don't know where the other one was, but yeah, it's fine though. It's okay. Oh, I know. Oh, actually no, it's KPI Gaming twice actually. So they won against KPI Gaming twice. That was the only time where AYM Esports Club actually got their 2 wins. And KSA lost against KPI Gaming, Rebels Gaming. Who else did they lose to? Zeta, UCAM Esports Club, and Team Kesso. And I'm pretty sure UCAM Esports Club, they lost to Zeta, and then here I'm pretty sure they're Movistar Riders, then KPI Gaming, then Team Kesso, then Case Esports. And I'm pretty sure same as Rainbow Club. I'm not really going to get into that. Let's now move over now to the playoffs, and we'll first start off with Zeta versus Rainbow Club, and it was a 3-2 victory for Zeta. Very close game. 13-4 on Fracture for Rainbow Club, 13-9 on Split for Zeta, 13-4 on Ascent for Rainbow Club, then 18-16 on Bind, and 13-8 on Lotus for Zeta, and Johnny XD gained MVP. Team Kesso versus KPI Gaming, it was a very close 3-0 victory for Team Kesso. 13-11 on Haven, 15-13 on Pro, and 13-11 on Split, and it was Lowell gained MVP. KC Esports, they win against Zeta. No really surprises there. 13-11 on Lotus for Zeta, then 13-11 on Split, 13-11 on Fracture, and 13-5 on Bind for Case Esports, and Keller's gained MVP for that. Team Kesso, they destroyed UCAM Esports Club, which is pretty surprising since Team Kesso was the 4th seeded team, but to be fair, they are a very, very competitive Spanish team. 13-5 on Haven, 13-6 on Split, and even 13-1 on Pearl, and Hyber and MVP. And in the grand finals, it was a back and forth match in the grand final against KC Esports and Team Kesso, and it was Case Esports winning just about against Team Kesso to lock in their spot to Ascension. 14-12 on Fracture for Case Esports, 13-11 on Haven for Team Kesso, 13-3 on Bind for Case Esports, 13-9 on Split for Team Kesso, then 13-11 on Ascent for Case Esports, and Roxy gained MVP for that. So, Spain out of the way, let's then move it now to France, the France Revolution. Don't know why it's called that, but whatever. This was predominantly online, so there was no offline LAN event for France. Here are the participants. We have Mandatory, Wild, Blacks United, 3D Max, Zerans, Valiant, Job Life, Gentlemates, Akarama, and Solary. Here are the players as well. You might know them, you might not know them, doesn't really matter. The regular standings wise though, Gentlemates was the first seed. Then we got Mandatory, Job Life, Wild, Valiant, and Zerans. And then 7th through 10th we have Solary, Akaroma, 3D Max, and Blacks United. So yeah, no, I mean, isn't before I was like talk about 3D Max and Blacks United, isn't Wild owned by Usain Bolt? Might be wrong about that. I'm not really too sure. But where the Blacks United and 3D Max got their wins, well, first of all, Blacks United they won against Solary and and Valiant, sorry, and then the other one was against who was it? I'm pretty sure it was up. It was up against what logo is that? 3D Max and Akaroma. Well, speaking of 3D Max, their only wins came from Zerans, Solary, Job Life, and Blacks United. So, kind of similar teams. And then Gentlemates, they only lost 5 matches. They lost to Job Life, yes, Job Life, Valiant, Wild, and then the other ones included Mandatory and Job Life once again. So, yeah, those are the only matches that Gentlemates lost. Here are now the playoffs. Wild, they are 2-0 Valiant, a pretty convincing win, actually. I said it wasn't that close, but Pearl was very close. 16-14 on Pearl and 13-6 on Ascent. And it was Hyro getting MVP. And Zerans, they win against Job Life. A bit of an upset here. The 6th seed being at the 5th seed. It was a 13-7 37 on split for Zerans, 13-4 on Pearl for Job Life, and 13 on Fracture for Zerans, and Brams gain MVP. Semi-finals are Gentlemates. They continue their dominance in France as they win against Wild. 13-6 on Ascendo went to Wild, but then 34 on Fracture, 37 on Lotus, and 39 on Haven went to Gentlemates, and Logan gained MVP. Mandatory though, they will meet Gentlemates in the grand final. 3-1 victory for them against Zerans. 14-12 on Binder for Zerans, but then 15-13 on Lotus, 13-8 on Split, and 13-3 on Haven for Mandatory, and it was Ghost again MVP. Pretty similar to Boaster. And then in the grand final, it was a 3-2 victory for Gentlemates. A very, very close game. Basically went back and forth just like most 3-2 games go. 13-10 on Haven and Fracture for Gentlemates, and then 13-9 on both Lotus and Bind for Mandatory. But then at the very end on Split, it was 13-7 on Split, and it was Logan getting MVP for that match. So Gentlemates, they will be representing France in the Ascension tournament, but obviously it is not over yet for all the teams who came second place via the point standings. Obviously, I'll get to that at the very end. France all done. Let's now talk about the DACH region, which is Germany, Switzerland, and I can't remember what the other one is. I can't remember I generally can't remember what the other one is. But this was also offline, so it was online and offline, and the offline was actually at Crefeld at Takes Gaming Bar. Okay, what? Okay, that interesting, but okay. Here are the participants, and this includes CGN Esports, Unicorns of Love, Angry Titans, Mouse, Alternative Attacks, AX1, Aviation Esports, and Latcherus. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Here are the players as well. You might know them, might not know them, doesn't really matter. Regular season, I forgot that the DACH region had the most stupid format ever, where it's a win, a draw, and a loss. So, pretty sure the top 4 I'm pretty sure was confirmed by like week 4 or something, or week 5, I don't know. Week 6. Week 6 was basically confirmed that these 4 teams, Mouse, CGN, Alternative Attacks, and Aviation Esports, all of them were going to be in the playoffs. And for the others, Angry Titans, Unicorns of Love, Latcherus, and AX1. That was just because that most of the time they only tied. So the middle one is tie, I'm pretty sure. So Mouse technically went undefeated. But the rest are just ties, like 5 ties here for Unicorns of Love, Latcherus, and AX1. Possibly the most stupidest, the dumbest format I've ever seen in my life. But here, so basically, well, there was actually a forfeit here against Angry Titans and Latcherus. That was the only time Angry Titans actually got a win. The other times were just ties. pretty depressing, right? Obviously, Mao's only tie was actually against Latteris, which is pretty interesting. And CGN's only loss was against Mouse. No really surprises there. Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than I hate the format for the Dash region. It is the worst. Here are now the playoffs though. Mouse, they win a pretty convincing win against Alternative Attacks to a victory for Mouse. 13-8 on Pearl, 13-10 on 13-8 on Split, 13-10 on Pearl. CGN though, they win against Aviation Esport, not really surprising there. 39 on Bind, and then for CGN, 13-8 on Pearl though for Aviation Esports. But didn't go too well on Fracture for Aviation Esports as they got 13-0'd by CGN Esports. Yikes. Bit of a yikesy there. Aviation though, they bounce back as they win against Alternative Attacks, who were the 3rd seed in from the regular season standings. 13-2 on Fracture, 13-4 on Pearl. CGN though, they actually upsetted Mouse surprisingly. 13-10 on Ascent though went to CGN. 13-7 on Haven went to Mouse, and then 37 again on Bind for CGN, and 2-1 victory for CGN Esports, who locked themselves into the grand final. Lower bracket final though, Mouse, they locked themselves into the grand final. 39 on Split, 30-10 on Pearl against Aviation Esports. And once again, a very close game. I don't know what is with the EMEA League and having very close games in the grand final, but there's a bit of a trend here. A 3-2 victory for CGN Esports against Mouse. 13-10 on Haven, though, went to CGN Esports, and then 36 on Lotus, and 30-10 on Ascent went to Mouse. Then 13-10 on Bind, and 13-8 on Fracture went to CGN Esports. Yeah, it was definitely a game to watch if you're over in the Dash region. Obviously, I can't watch any of them because of time zones and stuff. So I try my best to, but most of the time I can't really. So CGN, they have locked themselves into Ascension. I'm pretty sure they locked themselves into Ascension by just winning against Mouse in the upper bracket final. I'm pretty sure that happened, but yeah. So obviously, just like I said, no for Mouse, obviously the players will still be a factor. Next up, Turkey. Turkey was online and offline. Offline was over at Istanbul at the ESA Esport Arena. Here are the participants. We have S2G Esports, Supermassive Esports, Fireflux Esports, Istanbul Wildcats, Gatsuray Esports, Digital Athletics, Fenerbahce Esports, Thunderbolts Gaming, and Galacticus. Obviously, you see there are only 9 teams here. I'm pretty sure it was Parlor Esports that merged with Fireflux Esports. I'm correct me if I'm wrong. So that's why we only have 9 teams. Here are now the standings, and Fireflux, they went 7-1, then S2G Esports, Supermassive Esports, Galacticus, Galactaway Esports, Digital Athletics, then Fenerbahce Esports in 7th, Istanbul Wildcats in 8th, and Thunderbolts Gaming down in 9th place, with only 1 win apiece for Istanbul Wildcats and Thunderbolts Gaming. The only time that Thunderbolts Gaming won was actually against Fenerbahce Esports, while for Istanbul Wildcats, it was against Thunderbolts Gaming. No surprises there. Here are now the playoffs, and this was a bit of a shocking reveal on who actually won. First of all, we have Galatasaray Esports as they won against Galacticus. 14-12 on Haven though for Galacticus. Then 13-6 on Bind, 13-9 on Ascent. And it was Docent gained MVP for that. Supermassive Esports though, they win against Digital Athletics to knock them into the lower bracket. 13-9 on Haven went to Supermassive. 15-13 on Lotus though went to Digital Athletics, and 13-8 on Ascent went to Supermassive, and Elite gained MVP. Bracket semifinals now, as this was a massive upset actually, as Galatasaray Esports beats out Fireflux Esports, 13-2 on Ascent for Fireflux Esports, but then 14-12 on Split and 37 on Bind for Galatasaray Esports, and it was Mirza again MVP. S2G Esports though, at least they kept it a bit more tight, a bit more normal, as they beat out Supermassive Esports. 13-10 on Lotus though went to Supermassive Esports, but then 13-8 on Ascent and 37 on Haven went to S2G Esports and Ruskin MVP. Galacticus though, they knocked out Supermassive Esports from the playoffs. 13-11 on Bind, 13-8 on Lotus, and it was Destructive gained MVP. And this was a pretty big surprise to me. The first seed of Fireflux Esports gets knocked out by the 6th seed of Digital Athletics. 13-8 on Lotus, 13-11 on Fracture, and it was Rucksack getting MVP. Lower bracket final as we continue, as Galacticus goes home by Digital Athletics, a 2-0 victory for Digital Athletics, 13-10 on Ascent, 13-4 on Lotus. S2G Esports, they punched their ticket to the grand final, 13-8 on Bind for Galatasaray Esports. Then 13-11 on Haven, 13-10 13-11 on Ascent, 13-10 on Haven there for S2G Esports, and Resi getting MVP. And Digital Athletics, they locked themselves into the playoffs. A 3-1 victory for them. 14-12 on Fracture and 13-4 on Lotus Zone went to Digital Athletics. 13-7 on Haven went to Galatasaray Esports. Then 14-12 on Split went to Digital Athletics, and it was Massive getting MVP. And then in the grand final, it wasn't really that close. It wasn't a 3-2 victory though. It was a 3-0 victory for Digital Athletics. The 6C team will be representing Turkey over in Berlin for Ascension. I never thought I would ever say that in my life. 13-10 on Haven, 36 on Lotus, and 13-11 on Ascent for Digital Athletics, and it was Massive getting MVP. He got MVP as well in the lower bracket final, and he just started hauling ass. I mean, everyone in Digital Athletics did a phenomenal job. I'm pretty surprised that they actually won, but either way, congrats to Digital Athletics and S2G Sports. We will see you in the play-ins. Next up, East. The East, I'm pretty sure, was just online, so I was pretty disappointed there. I'm pretty sure it was also supposed to be offline for a bit, for like a split second, but then that did not happen, sadly. Here are the participants. We have Ascent, Enterprise Esports, Anomio Esports, Cyberwolves Esports, X-Rabbit Ninjas, Diamond Esports, B8 Esports, Zero Intensity, Nom Esports, and Go Next Esports. Here are the players as well. Obviously, they used to be Rapid Ninjas, but everyone terminated the contracts with them. I'm gonna guess because they were a bit shady. Other than that, nothing really else. Here are the regular season standings. Ascend went 14-4, no surprises there. Diamond Esports, Anomio Esports, Enterprise Esports, Zero Intensity, and Go Next Esports in the top 6. Then we got B8 Esports, Nom Esports, Cyberwolves Esports, and X Rapid Ninjas were actually disqualified. I'm gonna guess they just disbanded that Ashes Mawal, I guess, but I'm not really too sure. As for Cyberwolves Esports winning their matches, they first won against Zero Intensity, and then we have Go Next Esports, and then they got a free win from X Rapid Ninjas, and then they won against Nom Esports, and pretty surprisingly, Ascend. Never thought I would say that. 13-1. Yikes. That is a bit of a yikers, I guess we'll say there. Playoffs, so there was 2 different phases. So the second phase was supposed to be on land, but that did not happen. So there was just 2 phases basically. The first phase, I'm not really going to go into the first phase. All you need to know is that Nomio Esports and Enterprise Esports, both of those teams advanced to the second phase, along with Diamond Esports and Ascend. And speaking of them, Diamond Esports, they won against Anomia Esports, 13-10 on Bind and 13-7 on Lotus. And Ascend, they won against Enterprise Esports, 2-1 victory for them. 39 on Pearl for Ascend, 13-10 on Ascend for Enterprise Esports, and then 13-6 on Split went to Ascend. Enterprise Esports, they start their lower bracket run to the grand final. 13-10 on Haven, 13-3 on Ascend. They're against Anomia Esports. Ascend, they punched their ticket to the grand final. A 2-1 victory for them against Diamond Esports. 13-8 on Fracture there for Ascend. 13-11 on Lotus for Diamond Esports. And 39 on Split for Ascend. And then Enterprise Esports, they win a very, very, very close game against Diamond Esports. 13-11 on Lotus went to Diamond Esports. And once again, 13-11 on Ascend went to Enterprise. And including 39 on Pro as well. 13-3 on Haven went to Diamond Esports, and then 39 on Split went to Enterprise Esports. So very, very close game that they actually had to have 4 commentators. And in the grand finals, a 3-0 victory for Ascend against Enterprise Esports. 15-13 on Bind, 13-8 on Lotus, and 13-7 on Haven. I'm not really surprised about this one, I'll be honest. I kind of figured Ascend was going to win this since of Ascend's roster. Next one. We have the MENA region. Obviously, this was just 4 teams, and it was at Riyadh, at the Saudi Media City. That was where it was. Participants obviously delete just 4 teams, which includes Team Falcons, Triple Esports Club, Team Rad, and Nazar Esports. First one, Team Falcons. Actually, first I look at the players. There they are. First one though, Team Falcons, they win a victory against Nazar Esports, a 2-1 victory for them. 39 on Haven though went to Nazar Esports, then 39 on Pearl and 14-12 on Lotus went to Team Falcons. Team Rad, they win against Triple Esports Club, 37 on both Haven and Ascent. Nazar Esports, so they actually continue their chances of winning as they won against Triple Esports Club in the lower bracket semi-finals, 15-13 on Lotus and 13-10 on Ascent. Team Falcons, they locked their spot into the grand final, 2-1 victory against Team Rad, 13-10 on Haven for Team Rad, but then 37 on Pearl and 13-10 on Ascent went to Team Falcons. Team Rad, though, they come back to win a pretty close 3-0 victory against Nazar Esports, 14-12 on Haven, 19-17 on Pearl, and 13-5 on Ascent. And the grand final, once again, a very, very close grand final, 3-2 victory for Team Falcons, 13-8 on Pearl, though, went to Team Rad, 16-14 on Ascent, and 13-5 on Lotus went to Team Falcons, 13-9 on Split, though, went to Team Rad, and 13-10 on Fracture went to Team Falcons. Very, very close grand final once again. And I'm also not surprised that Team Falcons won. I mean, Team Falcons, I feel like they were the favorites of coming into this, so I'm not really surprised by that one. Next up, Italy, and I was pretty surprised on who won this split. This was at Milan at the Vodafone Theatre, and I'm not really too sure if it was affected by the floods. I think it might have been affected by the floods, but I'm not really too sure. Obviously, over in Italy, I'm pretty sure, what was it, April maybe? I can't remember. Here are the participants. We have GMT Esports, Zyre, Humble, Mako Esports, Clash, WL Gaming Esports, Axolotl, and Outplay. Here are the players as well. You might know them, you might know them, you might not know them, doesn't really matter. Here are the standings though. We have GMT Esports in the first seed, then Zyre in second, then Clash and Mako Esports for third and fourth, and then we have Axolotl, Outplayed, WL Gaming Esports, and Humble. The only 3 times that Humble actually won. First one was against Clash. The second one was actually a forfeit from WL Gaming. And the other one was, let's have a look, against Axolotl. So those are the 3 times where Humble won. As for the 2 times that GMT lost, they lost to WL Gaming and they lost to Mako Esports. That was the only time. Playoffs now. First off with Mako Esports versus Clash in the lower bracket semifinals, and it was a pretty convincing win for the first 2 maps, but the Ascent was pretty close. 13-4 on Haven, 13-1 on Bind, and 16-14 on Ascent for Mako Esports against Clash, so pretty easy victory for them. Not really though. GMT though, they win against Zyre in the upper bracket final, 13-11 on Ascent, 13-7 on Bind and Split to advance themselves into the grand final. Zyre though, they actually bounced back to demolish Mako Esports, 13-3 on Pearl and 13-5 on both Haven and Bind. And in the grand final, somehow, surprisingly, Zyre actually won against GMT Esports. 13-11 on Pearl, 13-7 on Fracture, and 13-3 on Bind. Both teams using Yoru, which is interesting. But that was a bit of a surprise to me. I thought GMT, I mean, coming to the grand final, no, GMT were definitely the favorites. And they got knocked out by Zyre, which is pretty surprising. And now for the final one, it is Portugal, finally. Portugal was online, offline. They were over at Braga in Portugal, and they were at the Espacio Vita. Don't know where that is, but yeah, I'm guessing it might be from Braga. So here are the teams. We have SOAR, GTZ Esports, EGN Esports, Team Vikings, Exotic Gaming, For the Win Esports, Impulse Gaming Warriors, and Panthers Esports. Here are the players as well. You might know them, you might not know them. Regular season though, GTZ Esports having the first seed, then SOAR second seed, then Exotic Gaming and EGN Esports being our Impulse Gaming Warriors for the final seed. And then speaking of them, Impulse Gaming Warriors in 5th place, Panthers Esports in 6th, For the Wins Esports in 7th, and Team Vikings in 8th. Only time GTZ lost was up against SOAR, no surprises there. And Team Vikings only 2 wins came against Impulse Gaming Warriors and Panthers Esports. Yikes. especially since Team Vikings used to be a really, really good Brazilian team, and now it's just shit. Playoffs though, EGN Esports Day 2 over Exotic Gaming, 13-11 on both Ascent and Fracture, and Silent gained MVP. Soul versus GTZ, and Soul actually got the revenge against GTZ, even though Soul won against GTZ, but whatever. 13-4 on Split, 39 on Haven, it was Dave gained MVP. GTZ though, they locked themselves into the grand final, against Soul after a very very close game against EGN Esports. 13-7 on Pearl for GTZ, 13-4 on Haven for EGN, 13-7 on Ascent for GTZ, and 13-7 on Split for EGN, and 13-2 on Fracture for GTZ, and was Camo gained MVP. And in the grand final, it wasn't enough for GTZ, as Soul kind of swept them. To be fair, the first match on Haven was pretty close, 13-11, and 13-3 on Fracture, and 13-8 on Lotus, and it was Tomazi gained MVP. So, yeah, Soul, they'll be representing Portugal over in Berlin, but obviously it's not over for GTZ since the play-ins exist. Speaking of that, let's first have a look at the play-ins, and then we'll have a look at the main event of Ascension. So here are the teams who'll be competing in the play-ins to basically be in Ascension. And also there was only one spot for Ascension. So we have Focus from Northern Europe, Team Kessler from Spain, Mandatory from France, Mouse from the DACH region, S2G from Turkey, Enterprise from East, Team Brad from MENA, GMT Esports from Italy, and GTZ from Portugal. We don't know how the groups are going to be, but I guess we'll find out later. And as for the main event, here are the participants here, obviously along with Apex. We have KC Esports from Spain, Gentle Mates from France, CGN Esports from DACH, Digital Athletics from Turkey, Ascend from East, Team Falcons from MENA, Zaya from Italy, and Saw from Portugal. And once again, we don't know how the groups are going to be there, but obviously that'll be updated when the winner for play-ins is confirmed. So that's really about it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys all next time in the next one. Goodbye.